Hello and welcome back to the Angular 2 Masterclass with Alejandro Rangel. In this chapter, we will talk about components. Components are the most important blocks in Angular 2. You can think about a component as an area of the application that will talk with a template. Remember that a template is just the HTML that we will render. Okay, so our component talks with a particular template, and it's a responsibility of a component to fill this template with data. Okay, we will talk about this with the data binding, and also it will get events from the template. Okay, so this is one part of the responsibility of a component. Yep. On the other side, a component also will be interacting with services. So, as the component holds the business logic of our application, it will be in charge of calling services like give me the current user, authenticate user, get me the products, save data. So all these calls to our services will be done through the component. So if we think about the MVC component architecture, we can think that the component will be the glue code between the model, the view, and the controller. Yes? Okay. So, how does it look a component in Angular 2? First of all, when we see the add symbol in Angular 2, we know that this is a decorator. A decorator will modify ES6 class or a TypeScript class, as we can see in this example. Yeah. So we have a decorator that defines, okay, this is our component. Yeah, this is the first line. Okay, perfect. Then our component needs a selector. In this case, we are defining the login component. This will be the HTML tag that we will define in our HTML page. Yeah. And then Angular will know, oh, here I should place the login component. Yep. So when Angular finds the login component tag in the HTML, then it will render what is in our template part of the decorator. As we can see here, our component will be a form, that has a div inside and so on. So if you see at the end of the template there are 3 dots, this means it's not complete. Don't try to do this on your own, okay, because it's not finished the code. But the idea is that our component will hold a template. For those that have worked with Angular 1, yes, we can have template URL also. So it's not needed to put the HTML inside our component. We can host it in an external file, and then Angular will be able to retrieve this template. Okay. During this course, we will put the template inside the component just for simplicity, but in a production application, probably it's better to host this outside, depending of the size of the template also. Okay. Then we can see here that we have providers. Yeah. Basically, this is a way to tell to this component, yes, I need the user service, for example. So in previous chapter, I talked that in Angular 2, we have services. So these are external class that have logic like, okay, give me the user, login, and so on. So in this case, we are telling to this component, yes, I need an instance of the user service. Yeah. Finally, we get to the class. This is a TypeScript class. Yep. And we define the logic of our component. Up to here, it was just the decorator to define how this component should behave inside Angular. And from there, we have just a standard TypeScript code. Yep. So we have a constructor. This is super important. At this point in the constructor, we have to tell to this component which elements we have to inject from outside. So in this case, we are telling to this component, okay, you are going to receive a service, named user service as a variable. Okay, this will be injected, and the second variable also will be injected from Angular. We will get into more details about injecting and also about the router later, but it's important to remember that if you have a service and you want to inject it in your component, you have to do first specify that this component needs providers like the user service, and second, we have to inject this service in the constructor. This is mandatory, super important. Then we just have a method like login. It receives a username, a password, and it calls the service. As you can see here, we do this dot user service and call a method from the service that is login. Okay, so this is a way that we create a component, and basically this is what you should know. There are more things like injecting directive and using the directives and the templates and so on. This we will cover later, but right now we are ready to do our first component. Okay, so we will be coding live, and you could follow me with this. So to finish with the slides, okay, how this component looks in our HTML. Well, basically we have to put a tag that is login component. Remember our selector here. So yeah, it should match this, and that's it.